All right, we're here.
We are once again. Welcome to EV Obsession. I am Joe Boris here with Clean Technica CEO Zachary Shahan. And, I always like these stories about the electric school buses, man. Let's start there today.
Yeah, well,
Or not.
I don't know which one. I don't know what tab that is right now. I line them up, I order them, and then I just hit screen share, and then it's hard to change what's happening. But I just thought this was the most exciting. I thought this would have the most discussion. It would be most exciting. Also, it's on a Japanese website, and it just keeps spinning the Google Trans. I mean, we're using Google Translate from into English, but
It's doing its best. It's
yes,
doing a
doing.
good job.
But yeah, do you want to give the intro of what this is? This
Yeah,
is
this is great stuff. So, this is a Japanese, essentially a suburb of Tokyo, right? And they are looking into wireless in-ground EV charging, very similar to what Wave is doing at the Port of Long Beach and Port of Houston, very similar to what Ytricity has announced recently with their partnership with Flow and Ford. This is a coil that is in the ground at these major intersections where cars tend to be stopped for several minutes. They can do high speed. I believe Wave is up to 150 kilowatts of charging through this wireless connectivity. And, if you're sitting there stopped at a red light for 5 or 10 minutes, you're in high congestion traffic, you are picking up, depending on the vehicle, obviously 5 to 20 miles of range in that time. So it actually works real nice if you put this throughout the city at a lot of places where vehicles tend to stop. You can, do quite a bit to eliminate range anxiety, which, people who are not yet ready to switch to EVs have, but it also kind of spreads out the load throughout the day. So if you have delivery drivers, people that are kind of going back and forth during these, we'll call them off peak hours for grid intensity, this can kind of keep everybody charged and it would be great. If you look in some of these quotes, even 10 seconds of passing over the coils would give you about a half a mile of extra driving. So for every minute that you spend on them, you're going to get 3 to 5 miles of extra range. Again, depending on the vehicle, some charge more quickly than others. Some are just frankly more efficient than others. But I think this is great stuff. This is what we really need to start seeing in terms of EV infrastructure. I think this, eliminates a lot of the worries. There was that meme that went around for years of a flooded Tesla supercharger station, and the comment would always be, "You still think plugging it in is safe?" And then, here in Chicago, of course, on the south side, there was a rash of people that were cutting into the EV chargers to steal the copper from the cabling. So this eliminates both those problems, keeps people from tripping over it, and really just makes this a brainless kind of operation. You just drive the car around and it charges up as you go and keeps it at a higher range longer, right? Because it's not infinite amount of range. They're not going to put this everywhere. This is going to be key locations.
yeah. Well, many years ago, several years ago, when wireless, there's more debate. Is wireless charging the future? Is it not? There was the argument it's not efficient enough. You can't put enough power through with it. 150 kilowatts to give some context that's the rate of the original Tesla superchargers.
That's right.
So this is fast. And to put it in other terms, as you just did, but I was just looking at it again. If you sat at uh, over one of these coils for 10 minutes, say three red lights, 3 minutes, 3.5, 3 1/3 minutes each, or two red lights, 5 minutes, whatever. Maybe that's too long, 5 minutes. But anyway, if you spent 10 minutes a day over these coils, that's 60 kilometers of range. That's that's a that
No, no, no.
like
It's more than that because it's 10. Well, yeah, that's right.
yeah.
That's right. Yeah, 60
The
kilometers
funny
range. You're
thing
right.
is, I did the math. It took me a minute while you were talking, and
No,
then I
I did the
noticed,
math as soon as you said it. I was like, well, wait a
and
minute.
then I
No, no, no,
noticed
wait,
that,
that's right.
and then I noticed that they said 1 minute 6 kilometers. I'm like, oh, that would have been easier math.
That would have been easier math to do.
But but yeah, it was 60 kilometers is, I mean, the vast majority of people do not drive that much in a day, like
Right.
or that's like 80 or 90%. And so really you're really, I mean, you're going from, well, it's very important for cities. because we've
Yes.
always talked about if you have a home where you can charge overnight, it's the most convenient, easiest thing you can do. But, in cities, that's not often the case.
Right.
So,
Well, even in suburbs, you're starting to see more and more apartments go up
yeah,
because people can't afford single family homes.
yeah, all over Florida. I mean, on bigger cities are like, like packed with people. So you have to have more of these kind of solutions. I think it's brilliant. I mean, I think it's gonna, why can't it be rolled out? That's been the question for several years since that's been sort of proposed. Is like, why wouldn't cities roll this out to make it easier? It's much easier than the current EV charging plans. I mean, of course they have to go hand in hand, have to do both, but like you said, there's a lot of benefits to just be hidden under the road, and no one has to find a charger, no one has to maintain them. I mean, I'm sure they have to be somehow protected and maintained, but
Well, they're protected and maintained by the concrete
yeah,
above them.
yeah,
I mean, that's the big appeal to these things at the Port of Long Beach, because you're driving around these drayage trucks, this heavy equipment. And if you smack into one of these things, I mean, if you look at the bollards there, almost every one of them is leaned over at least 15, 20 degrees, if not more so.
yeah,
So there is something to be said for this. Just taking it out of harm's way so that you can't smack into it with a bumper is going to do a lot towards maintaining the longevity of this. The
yeah.
other thing, and I just want to point this out because I have never been able to figure this out, and a good friend of mine finally pointed this out to me. I always used to say I love seeing pictures of Japanese cities because they seem to be, even though they're densely packed and full of people, they seem to be very human scale. They don't seem claustrophobic and weird.
Mm.
And he said that's because in Japan, they don't allow street parking. So you don't have that added visual of
Uh,
cars lined up along the buildings all the time. And as we're looking at these pictures, I think it's probably the first time I've looked at pictures of Japanese cities since making that connection. I see it here and I'm like, oh, yeah, that looks really nice.
I think I've also heard they're very clean. They're very
Yeah.
focused on
Well,
keep.
this is a culture thing. I think this makes sense in Japan for a lot of reasons. It makes sense in the US for a lot of different reasons. Um, but I think, part of it is this idea, especially in the States, the technology moves very quickly and we don't take care of our infrastructure. So if we can build this into the ground and it's constantly connected and constantly on, and it's powered by the utility and we all just kind of pay a road tax for it or something, it'll be fine. But I think
Yeah, I
in
think this is
America, the question is going to be, well, who pays for the electricity that's being used by the cars and who makes a profit from it? Where in other countries that are less ruled and run by corporations and dollars and cents and things like that, you can do something like this and everybody just kind of says, yeah, this is a good thing for everyone.
this is a
We'll
public
pay for it
utility.
with our taxes or whatever else it's going to be. Here we have digital feudalism where somebody has to own the data, somebody has to own the payment, somebody has to get their 3% off of it. And things like that are why this won't happen here. But
Well, I don't know. I definitely think it's one of those things that just makes a ton of sense to be offered as a public utility,
yes,
contracted as such. If we assume everyone transitions to EVs, everyone needs to charge. I mean, I don't know, there's got to be a system for billing, but if you wanted to go that route where they identify your car and your build, right?
I mean, but couldn't the system for billing be handled in the same way? So one of the things
Because I mean, we
that,
don't want it to be just free for anyone. Because then, what, the person who
why not?
drives 60,000 miles a year is getting a lot more than the person who drives
Well,
10,000.
so what? Right now, the person who's driving 60,000 miles a year is putting out a lot more hydrocarbons. So the rest of us can pay for asthma and the rest of us can
Yeah,
pay for
but it.
respiratory illness and the rest of us can pay for all that stuff with our tax dollars. So
Yeah,
I
but it
think that's
just
a good deal. I think it's a good
well, you
trade.
could just, I mean, you could, yeah, just have the tax based on how much you drive. The
Or, yeah,
you
or
have a
just,
mileage tax.
again, we're obsessed with the concept of fairness
But
in
the
America. And
problem
that's
with,
why
I mean,
we can't
we've
do
seen
this.
free chargers like implemented in various places, and it just, and even for example by Tesla for a while, and it just stimulates a kind of like, oh, I'll use all of your electricity and make a lot profit on it. It just opens the door for that kind of which I mean, you could say it's fine, but there's been an issue with that, causing problems with people who feel like it's not fair. But I mean, in any case,
Again,
you could
obsessed
definitely
with
have
the concept of fairness.
you could definitely have though a system of you're getting taxed based on your mileage tax. I think that's where we're headed probably. To
Yeah.
get. I mean, the problem. I mean, the problem is that we can't even do basic logical stuff. Like the gas tax hasn't been raised in decades. It's not even close to what it was decades ago if you account for inflation. But not a single politician is willing to say they're going to raise the gas tax on anyone because they'll be out of a job. So it's like I sort of think the opportunity is now to, while EV drivers are the minority, to be like, hey, let's put mileage tax on cars. Let's put, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not a fan of just like straight up EV taxes. That's stupid. I think that's and then again, you're not gonna. I wouldn't go that route. But
Yeah,
I
I kind of err on the side of everybody should just kind of pay the same and deal with it. If you make it a mileage tax, and what are you going to say? Okay, well, somebody driving their Harley Davidson Livewire electric motorcycle 10,000 miles a year versus somebody driving their 9,500 pound Hummer 1,500 miles a year.
yeah, there can be a
One of those is
calculus.
doing more. There
A
has to be a
mileage
calculus,
mileage times weight
right?
can be.
Or alternatively, we can all say, hey, we're all trying to live in this society together. Let's try to make it the best society we can.
Oh, seriously, man, what the?
No, I mean it. This is why I'm saying
Why
we
don't we
could
just
never.
say let's poop on everybody and see what happens? No,
I don't think that's the case at all. I think what
I
I'm
know.
saying is like we
No,
could appeal
no, I'm just
to
saying.
all
I'm
of
just. Those
our
are the two
better selves.
extremes. I mean, I
Sure,
think it's
but I
great
think that
ideal. I love the ideal, Joe.
yeah,
I'm
the
just I'm
idealism
just
of just
messing
like
around because society ain't going for it. They're more
not
likely
Americans,
to go
that's
for
for
the
sure.
second option than the first one.
Yeah, no, I agree with you on that. I think
That's what I'm saying. I'm not.
yeah.
I love the idea. I don't know how you sell it 20 years ago, let alone in 2023 when everyone's on the verge of like a food fight. Like I
Oh,
don't
the
know. It's
food fight. This
or
next
yeah,
election
worse than a
cycle,
food fight.
this
I don't
next
want to
election
say.
cycle is going to be,
Yeah.
especially if it's Trump versus Biden again, it's going to be real bad.
But right now is the opportunity when it's a minority of us. Those of us who are driving EVs are more likely to care about the greater good, are more likely to have, uh, you know, do things together, societal, cooperation in mind. This would be a great time to say, hey, we're putting in wireless charging. Everyone's paying for it. Hey, we're going with, everyone's just going to pay a tax or pay a mileage times weight tax to kind of account for how much you're using. And I don't know. I mean, but in any case, in this case, it's can be done. It would be done more at the
Yeah.
city level. These kind of things. This would be implemented at a city level. So this is a city by city case where I mean, Portland, Oregon, and Tulsa, Oklahoma are going to do very different things, or not even Tulsa. Like I don't know, Boob Bab Bam Land, Booney's Land, Oklahoma, and
Okay.
and
How about let's do one near and dear to my heart. Wellington, Ohio.
Beam Bam Boom Boom,
Bing
Wellington,
bang
Ohio.
ball in Bama. Bing bang
Yeah,
Bama.
Wellington, Ohio, and
Yeah.
Portland, Oregon are going to do very different things.
Very different things.
But I
Exactly
mean,
right.
I think it's just great that Japan is, or this, what was it? Kashiwanoha, Kashiwanoha, according to Google
Sure.
Translate.
We've got yeah,
I don't even
I'd
know
be
what
real
Google did here.
dubious.
Like, I don't know if that's what it. They've got
Yeah,
some.
how did Google choose that? Was it like a phonetic
I don't know.
translation?
I'm curious. I want to see the originals to see like if they changed it or if they're sounding it out for me. But anyway,
Why?
exciting stuff. So we've got that, and we go to another charging story. This is wild.
This is big stuff. So this is Lee Mega. We've talked about, Lee Auto and all this.
Li Auto.
Yeah, we've talked about them as being the breakout startup in China in the last recent years. They have now a 5C battery. This is a battery that can effectively be charged from 0 to 100 5 times in an hour. So it's 0 to 100 in about 20 minutes. And this is a big battery. This is something that they're charging at 552 kilowatts, which is like real quick. I mean, you could charge
I mean,
if you're charging at that speed. I haven't heard of anything
I haven't
else
heard of
being
any
close to
electric
this.
cars charging at this speed. Like the
No,
fastest superchargers, I believe, are 350 kilowatts now, unless
I
they've
believe
gone up
that's
to
right.
four. I'm not sure if they've gone up into the four. I've heard some talk about 450 kilowatt charging, 552 kilowatt charging. Never heard of it.
No. And if you scroll down a little bit, there's a real nice chart there that says basically you could
Oh my
charge a
gosh. Sorry.
yeah, like
No,
$36 a
just
month.
no, I'm gonna scroll down. I just as I was scrolling, I saw that even if the battery is up at 80% charge, you can still charge it at
Right. It's slow
315
charge is
kilowatts,
315 kilowatts.
which is
This is
insane.
moving. So this is again, it
Where's the
shows a
chart?
couple of popular vehicles. There you go.
Oh,
Right. Well, yeah, up there. Stop.
oh, the this
Well, right. So we
the
don't have
bulletless.
those in the States, but we do have a Porsche Taycan 4S. So that is showing, um, 18 minutes at 161 kilowatts. So you
Why are
could
they
do
showing
this
161 kilowatts? That's not right. That's not as max charging. It's gotta be.
after 161 is the last 20%, I think.
Oh, it says peak power.
Yeah, I don't know. What I am telling you is charging a
Anyway,
big battery. This
whatever.
is real fast.
Yeah, no. Scroll away, scroll away.
No, I don't think so. I think this is fine because it's
But anyway, yeah. I
but
mean,
look, this is the 30 to 80% charging time with other 800-volt
y-
architecture EVs.
yeah, it's going from 30 to 80% in less than 8 minutes.
Yeah, it's less than half the time of a Porsche Taycan. That's all
Well,
that's your
look,
takeaway. Half the
first
time.
of all, Li Auto is ridiculous. Like it's it produces giant road yachts. It's largely been plug-in hybrids or extended range electric vehicles so far, but they're just gigantic. I mean, when we talk about cars getting too big, Li Auto should be top of the list for
Show it.
how
Show the
ridiculous.
car again. It's like
And this is their first BEV, so they're sticking with their we're bigger than everything else on the road like strategy, and they're making a giant like what is this thing?
it's the
MPV.
Lee
Oh my.
Mega.
Jose loves MPVs. Maybe I'll talk
Yeah,
to Jose Pontes tomorrow. We'll see. Joe will be out. So,
I will be
but
out. I will be in Phoenix, Arizona at a e-bike event for a new product reveal. It's going to be a lot of fun.
he's a
But
big fan of MPVs, multi-purpose vehicles. It's like it looks like somewhat like a minivan station wagon.
it's not that mini, I'll tell you that.
A
It's
minivan station wagon space
I think
mobile.
this is something that honestly, if this had come out, if this had dropped during the Tesla earnings call and it had that weird T on the hood, the
Oh
thing
yeah.
that looks like an IUD, and they had said this is our updated Model X Cyber MPV Cybervan. This
Yes.
is the Tesla Cybervan, and it's going to be a robo taxi, and it's going to be the thing for young families. I think they'd have sold
550 kilowatt
30,000.
charging.
Yeah, the Tesla fanboys would be leaping in the streets. The stock would be at 450. This
Yes.
would have been huge, but
This
yeah,
would be everywhere.
this
We
would
would
be
see this
everywhere.
everywhere.
We would already have 6 stories about it.
Oh yeah.
But again, it's in China. It's Li Auto, so nobody's ever heard of it. But we've heard of it, and we're sharing it here with you because we
Well,
are EV obsessed.
I was gonna say when you started talking, I was like, I'd like to see that and the Cybertruck do battle.
Well,
Like,
the only problem with that is that one of those two vehicles is still
oh,
imaginary.
this is not for sale yet either.
I don't
But
know. This will
yeah,
be out first.
it's like, but let's
I
look at.
like this thing. This
I
is a good
I
looking
think
vehicle.
on half of me thinks it's super weird how long and weird it is, but the other half of me is like that's super cool. Very, very Jetsons, very
But it
space.
works. It works. It is the exact halfway point between a
Oh,
Model X and a Cybertruck.
is
This
this the chart?
absolutely, sure. This absolutely should have been what Tesla's next vehicle after the Cybertruck could have come out with.
Yeah, no, this is a perfect. This is the
And
baby.
this would have been a
This
lot
is
easier to manufacture too.
this is the baby of a Cybertruck and a Model X. Exactly. I still can't tell how many doors are on this thing. Is that a door up there in the front?
No, that's a quarter panel. So you've got 2
It
doors
looks
that
like it's
swing
got a
out.
handle.
That's the side marker. That's
That's the camera.
the amber lights in the camera. Yeah.
Okay.
But I love the tail lights on this.
I
I
was like, dude,
love
if they
the like really flat, even though it's not truly flat, it's very nondescript on the side. This is very much what a production cyber vehicle should have looked like, and it would already be out. If Tesla had gone this route with the Cybertruck and smoothed it down a little bit, we'd already have 150,000 of these things on the road. This is what we need. This is a great truck.
The rims here are a bit like Tesla's. That yeah, I was like, if they squeeze a little door up there in the front, I'm gonna be, but it's definitely not a door.
No,
it's it is like, it's just so long. It just looks
I
like a
get that a lot.
stretch. It looks like a stretch limo. It looks like it just looks weird.
Yeah,
Like it doesn't look like it should be a real vehicle. The distance between the front and rear wheels is like a little bit mind blowing, but at
yeah,
the same time, I feel like if I was a rich Chinese person, I'd be like, oh yeah, that's my show off vehicle. That's where I'm
yeah.
going to show people I've got the best kids with the best education and the best uh, Apple technology.
Oh
Like,
yeah,
I mean,
that's another one. This could be a great Apple card. You could see Johnny Ive hopping out of this thing
yeah,
for
well,
sure.
I mean, I think it's going to be a hit with rich Chinese people in
Yeah,
China. I'm curious. It's not gonna. It's too big for Europe. It's not gonna go to Europe. I'm curious if they try to bring it to the U.S. That would be really something to see. They could. They could make a dent. They could open a market for themselves in the U.S. with this vehicle. There's nothing like it. The back reminds me a little bit like a Honda minivan, but
okay,
so it's just a weird
yeah,
weird mixture of like a Honda minivan, a Tesla Cybertruck, a Tesla Model X. I like that.
yeah,
I'm not clear what's happening at the front there with that like light bar around on the.
yeah. That's your daytime running light, and then you have the high
Oh,
beams, the fog lights down there underneath that shut line.
very
It's
interesting.
such a slick car. I'm telling you, I'm going to stand by that statement. This is the Tesla. This is what Tesla should have built.
I think that's a fair argument. I mean, I definitely think if it was what Tesla built or showed a couple years ago or yesterday, it would be, Tesla fans would be bonkers about it.
I'd be
Especially,
bonkers about it. I'd be like, man, that's a slick vehicle. People are going to buy that.
well, I guess the thing that's frustrating and annoying is that because it's not a Tesla, nobody cares about it, nobody pays attention to it, and even when it gets to the news more, like it's not going to get the same attention at all. And why not? I mean, it's 550 kilowatt charging, like ridiculous. I'm sure the tech inside is fantabulous,
Oh yeah,
but this is the chart I think you mentioned where,
yeah. Where you
geez,
can just
11
see.
minutes and 11 seconds from zero
Yeah,
from 0 to 80.
yeah.
What are you?
It's that's moving,
Oh,
dude.
I'm fainting.
And
I
it's
wouldn't.
not a little battery. It's not like we're talking about like a 80 kilowatt hour battery. This is big time.
Oh my gosh.
All right. Well,
I'm
let's move
getting
on to the
dizzy.
next story because this just keeps getting more and more frustrating.
I'm getting dizzy.
Yeah, well, that's
What? No, this is the L9. They sell the L9 Pro for $59,000.
yeah.
You kidding me? What
We're
secret
behind. Here's the
what
thing that
secret agent is behind this?
well, but here's the thing that here's the main reason why you won't see a lot of this in a lot of American news stories because we're behind. And I think if you come out and do a news story that says American technology is behind, then you're like some kind of communist, you're a bad person, you get attacked, you get death threats in your emails. And you know, the fact is we're behind.
5C battery, 711 max amps. Wow. All right, fine. I'll stop staring at it. This is just this is mind blowing. I mean, I'm thinking too. Like, I like to supercharge while I do shopping, but I have to like make sure I get the shopping done quickly and efficiently enough that I get back in time. And that's not like on a 150 kilowatt supercharger. Obviously, you can't do anything like that with this. All you can do is like something grab a coffee, grab fast food somewhere or something while you
That's what
charge,
this is. This
or
is a
just sit
highway
there,
deal.
obviously.
Yeah, in the US, this is a highway deal. You plug in, you go use
Yeah.
the bathroom, you come back in and you go.
But I guess also in the case of these China mega cities, where you can have a multi-million-dollar apartment that's in a big apartment building. I mean, there's just a lot of people live in apartment buildings, obviously, with tall buildings. So you need the fast charging, perhaps, to not be wasting time charging away from home. But all right, well, just sticking to the battery front, this is interesting company, Iontra, that I interviewed their co-founders, their chief science officer and CEO recently. It was a bit confusing for me to like if you listen to the podcast, I recommend it because it's really topics that I've never dealt with before. They're not a battery company. They're not dealing with the batteries. They're dealing with stuff around the batteries. So they have these, they're dealing with the control units. And the thing is that they've achieved some ridiculously better cycle life and charge times, 3 to 5 to 6 time improvement on performance. I mean, just some mind-blowing stuff. And they said that, like, they have like their weekly, meetings with engineers, and engineers like, you're not going to believe this, like, and they're like, wow, that's crazy. They're also blown away by what they're achieving just by controlling the technology around the batteries better, more efficiently, managing it better. And so they've got they've got applications in like power tools. They're working with, I got on the interview, some large automakers. He couldn't name them, but one European, one American, and they're working with them to maybe try to catch up to Li Auto. I don't know, but I mean, basically to both increase charging speeds, and extend battery life as well. So it's just a double whammy. Really interesting stuff. As I said, it's quite technical, quite different from what you normally talk about with batteries and charging. So I recommend reading the article and listening to the podcast to really try to understand it all. But
who do you think they're working with?
Well, I wasn't expecting to get any info out of them on automaker. And when he said one European and one American, I thought, Ford and Volkswagen have partnered up. Maybe.
Dude, it's exactly what I thought. I was like, Ford and Volkswagen are deep in bed together, and that would be one American and one European.
You see, we're on the same page more.
That's exactly right.
That's just what came to mind. I didn't think long about it because I was like, I don't want to think too much. But I mean, that was the only thing that just jumped to mind.
Well, and you're also talking about two companies that have kind of said they're going to go with a less expensive LFP battery chemistry that's a little bit less energy dense. And it's like, well, why would they be doing that if they didn't have something up their sleeve? So
that's a good point.
They must be finding some efficiencies there where they feel like they can be market competitive in terms of specs with a quote unquote inferior battery chemistry. So we'll see. But
well, the other thing I thought, which I guess all the automakers are to some extent in this boat, but it just feels like Ford and Volkswagen are trying to be on the cutting edge more. They're trying to be like more like Tesla, like a startup on the head of the curve of technology for this. I was just trying to find. I remember in the conversation they mentioned the performance improvements like that they're seeing, but they, even when they talk to clients, still like say like half that, just to sort of like not to freak them out and be like, oh, this is nonsense. Be like, if you tell them like 8-time improvement, they're like, all right, see you later. We're not interested in whatever
seems fake. Yeah, exactly.
What you're selling, that's fake, But so they're more reasonable, like talking to initial clients, customers. But yeah, 4 times life cycle improvement. It's just really impressive stuff. So it's trying to find the.
So that's on our podcast. That's Clean Tech Talk. You can find that on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google, and my favorite joke of all time, wherever quality podcasts are sold.
Oh, here's a good quote. So from Daniel, from Granato, specifically what we're delivering is a charge control algorithm that Daniel will get into in more detail. So it's a charge control algorithm, really is the core of it. They want to also, have their chip used, but that's still under final development. So in the meantime, like, you can work just with the algorithm, but as they develop a specific chip for this as well, then it gets even better. So for now, off the shelf MCUs are used with their embedded C libraries, but yeah, even it'll get better as their hardware is developed further. But really exciting company. I think that's it for the charging and battery stuff, but we have another China story.
This is interesting. So BYD, as I'm sure you know, BYD
Yeah.
is manufacturing a ton of plug-in vehicles. They're actually a little bit bigger now, quite a bit bigger now in terms of plug-in vehicles than Tesla, and they are rapidly approaching Tesla in terms of BEV deliveries. They have a manufacturing facility in California that is manufacturing electric buses right now. They are also in South America and new markets opening in Central America as well. And there is a lot of talk about if and when the Chinese come to American markets, the one who is going to do it and who's going to take off is going to be BYD. So to see California Governor Gavin Newsom, and I should add, former Clean Technica contributor Gavin Newsom,
Oh, yes.
sitting there behind the wheel of a BYD in China. If you're not paying attention to this, you are really missing the boat, because this is the biggest signal yet that BYD is looking at bringing cars into California, and maybe not even California, maybe America at large. And a lot of people have this Gavin Newsom guy tipped to maybe run for some kind of political office in 2028 or so.
I mean, you got to still leave the door open for 2024. It's a possibility in case something happened. I would say if something happened,
If something happens,
which no one's wishing for, well, I mean, I'm not wishing for.
no good people are wishing for.
Yes. Then I think he is sort of like a go-to guy to step in and take over the torch. I mean, of course, some people are going to argue Kamala Harris, of course, as vice president, but I think it would be open game.
Do you think the Democrats would be dumb enough to do that again?
Do what?
So this is not a good thing. This is not something to be proud of as Americans, but there are a huge number of older centrist voters who kind of go on this like baby boomer logic spree, who just simply won't vote for a woman.
Yeah.
And we saw that in 2016. We saw it before that in 2008. And,
you could say, yeah.
Yeah. You could say, no.
I just want to, okay, I mean, the UK, like forever ago, had a female prime minister. I just wanted to highlight that, oh man, I don't know if we're going to go down this road.
Look, might as well. That's what this show is. This show
I was
is going
not
down the rabbit hole.
Biggest Hillary Clinton fan, because no one was, because we were brainwashed for decades. Sure. And she didn't have the charisma of AOC or Bill Clinton or whatever. She had a different personality. She's not a performer. Right. But the more you learned about it, one, they started their smear campaigns against her when Bill Clinton was running for president, because they were like, oh, she's a threat. She's a long-term threat. She worked hard to get healthcare reformed as first lady, making a huge potential, impact and movement forward on that, and became a big target. And so they smeared her forever, for decades, knowing she was like a potential president. And I mean, the public consciousness, the cultural bias against her was so warped. The more you learn about stuff, and as stuff happens in the world, and then there's always a clip of Hillary Clinton years ago having the perfect, intelligent, informed perspective on what was happening, what would happen. You're like, man, she was like a prophet. She's so ridiculously tied in, and such she's the straight A student. She's the one that everyone knows is the best student in the class, because she knows everything. She does her homework. She follows the rules. And it's just, I think it's ridiculous that, she was smeared so much that, and I think it's unfortunate too that she didn't have, it's a little surprising that she didn't have more of a sense or training for how to be more, more loved. Like I mean, that wasn't her
I
strong
think
suit.
that
Like it,
no,
and I mean,
and
with Bill Clinton as her husband, and with you would just think like she would have made more progress on it. But she was also just always fighting a ridiculous uphill battle. And
yeah,
look,
I think that look, at the end of the day, what happened in 2016 was that the most hated woman in America ran against the worst human being imaginable.
yeah,
And what we got was what we got. And like, it was never going to be good. And the Democrats could have taken a step back and said, look, let's not do this. We don't need to make history again right after we made history last time. Let's just, take a step back. We'll run somebody moderate and we'll win this thing. And if Biden's son hadn't passed away, he would have run in 28, and it would he would have run in 2016,
yeah,
and they would have won. So anyway,
yeah. Well,
let's cover some less depressing
yeah.
topics,
Let's. I
because we're
just,
about to be doing
but
this
yes,
again in 2024,
I
and
do
Trump
think
is going to hang us both.
I do think Gavin Newsom would have a very good chance, better than Biden even of. But who knows? I don't know. He's
We don't
also
know.
been governor of California. So yeah, 15 years ago he was a contributor to Clean Technica. We've grown a lot, but he's grown to be even bigger.
He's grown more than we have.
Grown more than we have, and he's outgrown. I mean, of course, it was a PR person writing for him, probably. I mean, I don't know.
He
I
can
think
write.
this is the
He's a good
BYD
writer.
I've seen doing some boating. It can boat for a bit to get out of a flooded situation.
Well, but this was in response to Tesla Cybertruck supposedly being able to work as a boat.
Yeah, but
And these guys were like, "Oh, this."
I saw this like actually boating through water on a video.
But
Like,
this just goes to show how much more quickly BYD and Li Auto are advancing the technology than the quote unquote tech leaders here in the US.
yeah, it's impressive. I mean, they're doing great stuff. I mean, obviously Gavin Newsom's got time
Yep.
for them.
And the
Uh,
tank turn.
yeah, you got that tank turn going on. This is I'm sure, I mean, aside from the fact that he's got his eye on the presidency, which there's no doubt about. I mean, California is like the sixth or seventh largest economy in the world or something, so it's huge ties
Oh
to
yeah.
China. So I mean, it's natural that he would be building relationships and connections there. And BYD wants to come to the US, so I'm sure he wants BYD factories in California, not elsewhere. So it's
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's where they are, but I think we saw during the 2016 elections, we saw the power of a presidential candidate standing in front of a factory saying, I'm bringing jobs to this area. And we saw for the first time in a generation, large numbers of union workers turn out for a conservative candidate. And I think that if you could say, hey, we're going to put a BYD factory here in what was the town? Tulsa, Bama? Bama
I
Rama?
was just mumbling. I
Just
was
rambling.
stumbling over some attempt at a town.
But imagine this guy is standing outside of Shreveport, Louisiana, in a deep red state saying, we're going to bring 14,000 jobs if I'm elected president. And he's standing outside of South Carolina, in some press op saying, hey, look, we're here. We're going to bring a BYD truck factory here, and we're going to do 15,000 new high paying jobs to the area. That has power. That has real power, especially in Rust Belt states or southern states that don't have a lot of opportunity. This is something that could really help turn the presidency his way, and even turn a lot of deep red states into purple states. So, more power to him. Let's hope it works.
Yeah,
And this
we
is
just
the
have
one
like
that I
a couple
wanted
more
to start
minutes.
with.
But yeah, this is a really nice story.
Yeah. So, Highland electric fleets, we talk about these guys a lot. They're good friends of ours. They've been on the show a couple times. We've been to some live events with them. They're helping schools electrify their fleet. They do not make school buses. They do not sell school buses. What they do is they partner with school districts, help them get grants, help them get funding, and help them find financing so that they can electrify their fleets. And now Red Lake School District is the first school district serving Indigenous students to electrify its entire bus fleet. They did that in conjunction with Highland. So I got to give them a victory lap there. This is great stuff. these are kids who often get the short end of the stick when it comes to educational funding, when it comes to medical care and things like that. And the fact that they're able to take advantage of this is just going to be huge. It's going to be quality of life increases for everybody affected by this. Not only the students riding the bus, but the parents waiting there for the bus to pick up the kids, to the people and mechanics that are working on these things. This is great stuff.
Yeah, I used to think solar school stories were my favorite stories. Actually, like electric school bus stories more, because that just cuts that direct pollution that's harming kids' health and education every day. And then, I mean, this is even a step above. I mean, electric school buses, Indigenous students, populations. I mean, this is, to me, like the best kind of story you could find. So thank you for finding
it. It really helps the white guilt, right?
Yeah, I mean, it brings it to the surface, and I guess helps it to some extent. But it's just, yeah, I mean, there's so much
nothing
there.
more to say. It's great stuff.
There's a lot more to say, but I don't want to go down another tangent, especially since we're out of time. But we have this as well: Volkswagen going to South Africa with the ID.4 ID.Buzz cargo at the South Africa Auto Week.
Nice.
I think this is exciting because South Africa doesn't really have a lot of electric vehicle options. Although when I was editing the article from Ramirez, I was like, oh, they already have BYD, BMW, Great Wall Motors, the Aura brand from Great Wall Motors, Jaguar, Mercedes-Benz, SAIC, Volvo, and Audi. So they have quite a bit. They have more than I realized, and they do have some that we don't have, BYD and Aura. So and SAIC. So they or SAIC, I forget. But I think it's a big deal that Volkswagen is looking to enter the market, because Volkswagen can be a mass market seller. It's really, it needs to sell more globally, these models, and just helping South Africa get into the EV spirit more. So I think it's just great news. Again, I would not have seen this story if it wasn't for Ramirez finding these and bringing them to
he
our
does
attention.
such good work.
So much. Him and Raymond in Asia, like they find, and now you with all these China stories, like Joe, like and this is the last story. This is
we missed this yesterday. So the Rebelle rally is an off-road overland rally. It's kind of claim to fame is that it's primarily, or I guess only, female drivers and female teams. Oh. And this year, for the first time ever, the Rebelle rally was won by an electric vehicle. This is an R1T Rivian, so that's great news for them. And it just kind of underscores the complete and total failure that was Lordstown Motors, that they made it like to the first stage the one time they tried to try out their endurance. So these ladies did a fantastic job bringing this home. They won their class.
Cybertruck team?
The Cybertruck team is they're coming in 2019. I mean 2021. I mean 2025.
We're bad. It was bad. I'm a Tesla owner with a Tesla stock, so don't hate on me. It's just the story is what it is.
I'm a bad influence.
This is the fact. Yeah, you are bad. Also, this is the. I mean, look, Rivian's there, so like
they're there.
Props where props are due, and
When did the Rivian R1T get introduced? When did we first see that?
I don't know. Yeah, I mean, Rivian's taken a long time. I'm still not really sure what I think about the future for Rivian, but it's great that it's here. I don't know, when was was it before or after the Cybertruck?
Well, that's what I'm asking. I don't remember. I know the first one was delivered in 2021 in September.
We're gonna look it up. I feel like I'm not sure. It was at LA Auto Show, I think, is the first that it was shown, right?
It was in 2018. So it was shown a year before Cybertruck, and made it to market in 2021.
Yeah.
Okay. So Cybertruck would have kept up had it come to market in 2022.
Yeah, but it's still, I mean, it's another fun EV story, doing new things. So
yeah,
there it is.
Stuff.
That's the show. Thanks for tuning in. Check in
We'll see you again
tomorrow
Thursday.
or Thursday or whenever. I'm not sure when this is going live, but yes,
It
thank
just
you.
gets worse. It's every day, but not every
Yes,
day.
there are always issues. Asterisks.
Hi, my name is Scott Cooney. I started Clean Technica to promote clean energy and other sustainable alternatives, and for 13 years we've been moving markets. If we had a nickel for every time someone told us they bought their first EV, solar, e-bike, or fill in the blank clean energy solution, we'd be a cable TV channel by now. But we don't get those nickels. So unfortunately, we could use your help to reach a few more people. If just 1% of our audience chipped in a few bucks a month, we could hire dozens of great journalists and promote all sorts of climate solutions. It's easy. Just go to cleantechnica.com/support and sign up with a credit card in seconds. Cancel anytime. But we'll be sending out some cool perks too, so I think you'll want to stick around. With your support, we'll keep leading the charge. Thank you so much.